Everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino back to talk about another recap of feedback of the Traitors from a very exciting week in Traitors world. Of course, I'm back here with the man who covers it all of the Traitors here on RHAP. It's Pooya Zambagili. Pooya, how are you?
Rob, I'm good. Always talking to you is a treat. And this is somebody I've wanted to be on a podcast with for a hot minute. So I'm very excited for the guest we have today.
Okay. Oh, wait. Who's here at the... Somebody's at the door for breakfast. Who is it? Oh, it's Frannie Marin. Frannie, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. It's a treat to talk to both of you. Pooya, I didn't know we had this longing that was happening because I've been wanting to be on a podcast with you. So this is perfect.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Frannie, we're so glad you're here. We were so worried that you got offed in the night.
Oh yeah, I've been stressed. I haven't been able to eat my, my weird healthy food that they're serving at the Traitors buffet. Yeah, but I'm here. I'm still here. It's good.
Yes, of course. Frannie, you got to see Carolyn firsthand in Survivor 44. For anybody who is joining us who may not know that fact, so you can weigh in on what you've been seeing. But what's been going on with you, Frannie?
Oh man, I've had a great start to the year. Matt and I have been doing a couple of challenges, a couple of like New Year's resolutions. We've been hitting the gym. We've been journaling, knitting. Good stuff going on over here.
Now, you have all the same resolutions?
Well, the knitting's more me than him, but
yes.
We've been doing challenges together. We've been, getting off of TikTok and Reels, all that stuff, getting healthy,
Wow. Okay. And so it's February. You're still going?
Well, I mean, the challenge was through January, so we need to have a discussion about if we're going to give up or if we're going to keep going. But I think we'll keep it up. It's been really nice.
Okay, all right. I had a dry January with the Reels and the TikToks.
Yes. Yeah, It was tough. I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but it's nice. I've freed up so much time, and now instead I watch endless Blood on the Clock Tower streams. So that's what I've replaced it with. And I feel like Blood on the Clock Tower is what got me to be excited about the Traitors. I feel like some people it's like the other way around. They want to play a Traitors-like game. For me, the pipeline was very much Clock Tower into Traitors. So yeah, it's part of my origin story.
Okay, well, we're happy you're here for the feedback show. Of course, people have been sending in their questions. And we're going to answer a bunch of them. Plus, we're live here. We'll take questions from the chat from our friends like Owen Knight, who says, Clock Tower.
Yeah. Owen and I talked about Clock Tower earlier today. So we're both really excited about it. We've been having dreams about Clock Tower. So it's
oh my deep. God. Yes. You're in deep.
Yeah, it's bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, want to thank our great audience here for our Traitors coverage here on RHAP, which has just been going berserko here in these last couple of weeks. I cannot believe the response we've had on our episode 6 recap, Pooya. I was looking at the views, Pooya, the comments. People are loving the Traitors.
It's pretty surreal for me looking at numbers like that. I'm like, wait, I'm on this. You're looking at me. You're talking. You're listening to me talk about this.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. It's amazing, and I'm so happy that people are enjoying it. The discussions have been healthy. Some people have very passionate opinions. Others have differing opinions, but for the most part, I feel like everyone's playing safe, which is good.
Yeah. Okay. And so we will be back after episode 7 coming up. Season 3, episode 7 of The Traitors coming up on Thursday. Call Akiva. Okay. We know traitors.com. Make sure you're subscribed for all of our coverage. Pooya had an exit interview with Bob Harper the other day, and Bob Harper was lovely.
He was great. Such an easy conversation. So fun. Played ball with every question I threw at him, and spoke his mind. I had a good time.
And we have not heard yet from Wes yet. I'm going to hold out hope that we still get the chance. Wes, call us. Okay?
If you're listening to this.
You're listening. We want to hear you talk about how the people that voted you out were dummies and idiots. Come here, Wes. Come say the things. We want to hear it. Okay.
Yeah. We got to talk to him before he went on last year. I would like to talk about posts.
Come on, Wes. Come home. Come on. Okay. All right. Frannie. So here we go. The world has gotten to see and know your friend of mine, Carolyn. What's it been like to see the people outside of our little Survivor bubble meet Carolyn?
It's been a treat, to say the least. I have seen Carolyn many times since filming Survivor 44 with her. She lives in Minnesota, which is where I'm from, so I go home all the time, and we usually make time to hang out when I'm there. And what's fun about the Traitors is she's almost being more Carolyn on the Traitors than she was on Survivor. Like every moment, it's just so her, exactly what it's like to talk to her. And it's really fun to see the rest of the world be like, who is this woman? I love the impressions. I love some of the art I've seen of her.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, it's a hoot.
Yeah. I mean, Frannie, I know you've been off the TikTok, but Pooya, are you seeing any of these people that do Carolyn impressions? It's incredible.
And they're nailing the impressions. Like people are so creative, and it's been very fun to see. I feel like I see this a lot with Traitors, because a lot of reality shows, we're in the pocket. We're there with, we're there. We're in the deep with the fandom. But some of these shows are got viral ability, and Traitors is one, like Love is Blind is the other. So it's been very fun to see new people discover Carolyn, people discover Boston Rob, and some of these people that we know all too well.
Yes, and so much of it is on TikTok and these reels that you've been missing, Frannie. But can I tell you something? Can I tell you what happened the other day?
Yes,
freaking
please.
Pooya, he sends me a text, and I open it up, and it's a Boston Rob fan cam.
What?
It was
like, what the hell?
Yeah. It's because
why you send this to me?
That's so disrespectful.
Firstly, it was topical because Rob had brought up on the pod that, there's these thirst traps of Boston Rob now. So one showed up on my For You page, and I thought, like the good friend I am, I would send it to Rob. And his response, Frannie, was Bowie James was better. So...
Yeah, the one that Lavina made was great.
Great.
Well, that's a fan cam.
Look at it. It's just Boston Rob being, and this is people discovering Boston Rob for the first time. For the first time, look at him.
That's crazy. Well, and young Boston Rob.
Boston Rob.
Different experience than the, with respect, than the Boston Rob that we're getting in the year of our Lord 2025. It's different. It's a little bit.
Okay. All right. So, Frannie, then people have gotten to see Carolyn. She's there in the turret with Boston Rob and Danielle. What's your read on this whole situation after all of this drama from this week?
Yeah. I mean, my read is nothing that Carolyn hasn't already said herself, which is she's pissed. Like, you can just tell that she is so pissed about this whole situation. I'm proud of her that this week, I feel like she really started to speak up and just say exactly what she was thinking in the turret. Like, we've seen her be a little more like quiet and submissive, which is a shame because I think her takes have been consistently really accurate throughout the season, but she just hasn't spoken up enough about them to change the, discourse in the turret. I love this week when she was like, we just have to go after Danielle. Like, that's where we go from here. And if there's one thing I know about Carolyn, she won't back down from that until Danielle is gone. Like, she will literally sooner sink her own game than have Danielle outlast her, even if it doesn't behoove her anymore. And I can't wait to watch it all go up in flames. I'm so excited.
There's been this interesting parallel with Carolyn between her game on the Traitors and the game that you were there for in Survivor 44, where Carolyn has said this a number of times that people are not listening to her. She doesn't feel heard. And obviously, she wanted to work with you when you got voted out. So she wasn't feeling heard on that vote. What's it like been for you to see this story play out here on the Traitors that you saw on Survivor?
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. I mean, it's like we were just talking about, all these viewers are experiencing Carolyn for the first time. And also these other players from all these different shows, like, they don't know what she's like. Even if they've seen Survivor, they haven't experienced her in person, really. And I mean, if I were her, I would be so frustrated that she had this entire narrative basically on Survivor about how she was playing really well and wasn't listened to. And then now it's happening the same way again. I don't know. It's interesting with Carolyn. The one thing I'll say, and Carolyn, if you're listening, maybe take this feedback. I think that Carolyn, like I said, her takes are really strong. But when she's saying people aren't listening to me, people aren't, taking it, whatever, she rarely offers an alternative. She correctly identifies, I think, when somebody's plan is bad. It's a bad idea. But I don't feel like she often comes forward strongly with this is what we should do instead. And so I think it sometimes becomes hard for people to like listen to her, do what she wants, because she's not, at least we're not seeing from the edit, she's not asserting super strongly what she wants. She's better at knowing what she doesn't want. So I think that's kind of where there's a disconnect, and it is hard for people to do what she wants when she's not telling them what that is.
Yeah, that's a really great observation. And, you know, I don't know if she can change anything now.
It's not live.
They already filmed it, but for next time, Traitors All-Stars.
Traitors All-Stars. Next time she's in the turret. Yeah. Yeah. Bring her back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's also the other thing that's frustrating. Like, well, you know, you're just talking about Pooya. You just talked to Bob Harper. I got to say, I love Bob Harper. Like, I was a Biggest Loser fan back in the day. I feel like watching Bob Harper on the show is like watching a family member. Like, I forgot how close I felt to him. He's just so familiar to me. So I was super bummed to see him gone, but it sucks to see Bob Harper calling Carolyn a bag of nuts. I'm like, I love you both. Why don't you, want to play nice together? So, yeah, it's hard to describe how, like shocking your first experience with Carolyn is. You know, she's so different. She presents so differently from so many other people in a way that I find really wonderful. But yeah, it really like obfuscates the fact that she's thinking about the game a lot and makes it hard for people to clock her. I love the surprise when they find out she's a traitor.
Now, the other big Survivor presence is, of course, Boston Rob, who has had such an interesting road this season. What's your opinion on Rob?
Yeah, my opinion on Boston Rob, I had a different experience with Rob, I think, than some of the like long time Survivor fans. Because my first season, we talked about this recently, was Cagayan. So I kind of like went backwards. I think the first season I saw with Rob in it was Heroes versus Villains. And then I like went from there and saw more. So yeah, I don't know. I have respect for Rob's game, but I think I don't quite idolize him in the way that others do. I feel like on the Traitors, Rob is he's just trying to be the best TV that he can possibly be. And he's being really successful at it. I think that he knows that some of his strategy is silly goofy, and he's just like going for it anyways, because he knows it makes excellent TV. Yeah, he's so fun in the turret. I love watching him with Carolyn. They just are two people that like shouldn't mesh together. Like they just don't quite make sense in my mind. So it's weird to see them on the screen.
All right, well, let's bring in a question here from Michael Horn, who says, if Rob has to choose between Carolyn and Danielle at the next roundtable, who should he pick? We saw at the end of the episode, Boston Rob was just like flabbergasted that Carolyn and Danielle were getting into it. And it seems like he's probably going to have to pick a side here.
It's a good question. I feel like he's going to go Team Carolyn. I think that he sees Carolyn as more shepherdable, easier to
Philip shepherdable.
Yeah. Carolyn is the specialist. Yeah, I think he sees her as more Philip shepherdable, and probably actually sees a lot of similarities between, his experiences with her and his experiences with Philip. I think, Rob looks at Carolyn and thinks that he can figure out how to, get her to do what he wants. Whereas Danielle, I think, she's voted for Rob at the round table. She's too dangerous and she's really off doing her own thing. I think that he's not going to want to keep her around.
Okay, I would say, and I agree, I think that might be what Rob is going to see, but I think that would be a miscalculation on Rob's part, because I think that Philip, he was in the service. Philip, I think deep down was a soldier. He was happy to, follow the orders of a general in Boston Rob. I don't think that Carolyn is going to want to give up her autonomy. Now, she may go along with it if he says, hey, going after Danielle. Sure, that might work. That might work. But Pooya, I think ultimately Carolyn is not going to just, go follow Rob blindly to the end.
No, I don't think either person in the turret right now would do that with Rob whatsoever. We are not in a situation where we've got a Tom Sandoval in the turret, that's not what's going on here. I think that, Frannie did point out that the fact that Carolyn has been super discounted despite having arguably the best reads of any traitor this season, I think you can't mistake that for submissiveness. I don't think that Frannie. I don't think that Carolyn's just going to be like, all right, just go with it. You took out Danielle. Here's my keys. You take me to the end. I'm with you no matter what. I think that in the short term, this will be good for them. It could patch them up a little bit, but I think ultimately it's always going to end up being Carolyn on top, Rob toppled out before that is done, unless a specific circumstance happens, Rob, where Boston Rob is truly kept in everybody who's not going to vote against him, and then that's bad for Carolyn. So I agree with you. I don't think that Carolyn's going to follow through with him, but I do think that if he has to choose, no backsies, he has to pick Carolyn here.
Okay. Rito Revolto has a question. Everyone on social media is saying Danielle is such a bad traitor. Yet those traitor reveals videos from Peacock, no one has clocked her. Should we start giving her more credit? What do you think about Rito Revolto?
I'm not here to be the voice of Carolyn. Okay. She and I didn't talk before I came on this.
Those people are on TikTok who are the voice of Carolyn.
Right. Yeah, true. And I haven't seen them either. I'm here stating my own opinions, but I do think that Danielle is doing a poor job as a traitor. I think it's crazy to me that people haven't discussed this more, but I think that her decision in that slam the powder word puzzle game, that was like the closest thing that the faithfuls have to real evidence about who is a traitor and who is a faithful. Her decision-making there with whose portraits she put up was so odd. The behavior was so weird that I think Carolyn's, bringing up Danielle at the round table, if that cracks open the discussion around Danielle, I think people are going to go back to that moment, realize how weird it is, and like that'll be her tell. That not even related to her decisions in the turret, which I think have also been funky. Like she's just acting as an odd faithful. It's weird to me.
Yeah, Pooya, I think there's really two schools of thought of that. Okay, so there are the people who have been murdered or banished who may not have thought that Danielle is a traitor, but there's also some speculation that like the Britneys of the world, maybe Derrick, that some of the people closest to Danielle may have already deduced that Danielle is a traitor.
Yeah, well, first of all, shout out to Rita Revolto, who's taking a break from terrorizing Angel Grove to send us a question. What a huge accomplishment we got. Here's the thing. I think that the fact that every faithful coming out is reacting very similarly to Danielle being a traitor versus Carolyn being a traitor, I think that means that the show is making us look at it as she's fumbling more than she might be. Now, let's not mistake that she's 100% fumbling some stuff, and knowing she's a traitor, we can point at these and be like, these are huge mistakes. Frannie, the thing you've brought up, the minute it didn't get discussed that night, I thought that was weird. The fact that it didn't come up again this week, I thought that was weird. But then now part of me is thinking, because, a lot of the early critiques we saw from the audience, from us, is the overacting. Is she doing too much? Is she laying on thick? I think that she's successfully, to some people in that manner, conveyed that this is who she is. She's just a nervous person, and that's why they're discounting it completely. Jeremy clocked her immediately. Jeremy is no longer in that castle. Now, Rob, to answer your part of the question, which you said, how many of them have clocked her but are keeping her? I think Brittany for sure. I would back that.
And they don't ever tell us that on the show. Nobody's we never get a confessional of like, yeah, I think that Danielle's a traitor, but I'm going to keep her around.
Yeah, the U.S., I don't feel like, if my memory serves me correct, the U.S. is a franchise that's never tried to blur those lines like that. We've seen it happen on some other shows, some other franchises, not the U.S. So I think Brittany definitely is seeing something. I think the biggest thing to me was when Danielle's like, well, you don't think Carolyn? When Carolyn said your name. I think for me, that's when Brittany was like, oh, that's a good point. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. That was like, okay, she knows not to push back too much on Danielle here. But I think what we saw at the round table was very fascinating for me with Brittany, because now I'm like, how many of them does Brittany have clocked up? Because Brittany, when Carolyn brings up that her name was thrown around, Brittany was very quick to be like, okay, I told her, but I didn't tell her who. I told her name was put out there, and defending Rob. So I would love to know how many of them Brittany's looking at. But I think as far as Danielle goes, I think is the internet being very harsh on Danielle? Yes. Is some of it warranted because we know she's a traitor, and a lot of us have been bigging her up because she is a legend on the Big Brother game? Yes. You know, if you're coming in and all you're hearing is this person is amazing in their field, amazing, 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 and then they don't do what you've been building up to, of course they're like, well, that's a flop. Your show sucks. We saw Dan last year, so what, are you just like corralling all these dummies? Anyway, so all of that to say, to sum up, because I feel like I'm rambling now, Carolyn's playing...
You're cooking.
You're cooking.
Thank
Let
you.
him cook. Yeah.
Carolyn's playing an immaculate Traitors game. Danielle is playing a good surface level faithful projection game. Traitor wise, not loving the moves. And then Boston Rob is making things that shouldn't work. And it's incredible to watch.
Yeah. I think that some of the things that Danielle is doing, like, I think that we at home can see, like, okay, that's suboptimal. That's not the best idea, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the people that are in the castle have clocked that she's making, you know, these fatal mistakes.
Well, the thing is, they are also playing suboptimally. All the faithful,
sure, okay.
You know, so she's maybe playing at exactly the right level because they sometimes have horrendous takes and the logic just isn't maybe where it should be. So maybe she's doing a good job because she's playing at the same level as them. And if she were to play like 4D chess, it would swing back around to them suspecting her.
Yeah. Like, let's rewind the tape real quick for the Danielle bad moves highlight reel. Number one, too much trying to defend Bob the Drag Queen. I'm good. Bob the Drag Queen's 100% good. Now Bob the Drag Queen's gone. We thought that would get backlash. Ultimately did not. Then the whole, like, I want Rob gone, therefore I'm going to try and get Carolyn out, where no one's looking at Carolyn anyway. Bad move. Then saying I'm going to patch things up, but then not being forthcoming and, hey, Carolyn, just a heads up. I've done a lot of damage in the last 2 days, so much so that you might even think I'm talking about you tomorrow, where I'm not, because all this evidence is out there. There are very bad moves. Like, when your turret is against you, that is a horrible place to find yourself. So I don't think she's playing a great game, but I also think that saying she's playing horrible when a lot of the people leaving are surprised that she is a traitor, I think there's something to be said about that. And I think when the louder voices are more visible, it benefits you even if you play incorrectly, because you can hide a little bit and you look like you're a little, at least active. I think Danielle will be seeming a lot more active than Dan, who was not active. So that helps her in that regard, where they're like, well, a traitor would maybe try and be quiet or very, very loud. They don't look at the middle people quite as much.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too with her. Like that, as you were talking, Pooya, it hit me, you know, in her attempts to appear as a faithful, Danielle randomly telling people that she's thinking about Carolyn is actually a great move, because I feel like all the faithfuls get a random, you know, chip on their shoulder for somebody who it's like, it's the Tom Sandoval of it all. Like, why is that person traitor? It doesn't make any sense. And so her kind of having like a targeted pick and going after it when it's not just going with the flow, I think actually does make her look like more of a faithful.
Yeah, and the fact that they're pointing at each other now is very funny to me, because we saw Dylan be like, Danielle's just playing a bad game. She's got misreads. I think they're all gonna see this as a harmless beef. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple people are gonna try and broker the peace here between the two of them. I think they're both in very interesting spots where I don't necessarily see it's got to be her or me vote coming up. You know what I mean? Like,
everyone's going to think they're both faithfuls, just beefing and keep them around.
Yeah, you're just two wrong faithfuls. Get along. Let's look at other people. So we'll see.
Frannie, I'd love to get your take. We talked about Bob Harper, but out of the non-survivors in the cast, is there anybody else that has really caught your attention?
Yeah. And to be clear, I mean, I genuinely don't watch. Biggest Loser was like really out there. Like, I don't watch any of these other shows. So I really came in and did not know these people. I've really taken to Gabby. I like her. Okay. I feel like she's, I really liked her sweater this week with my interest in knitting. I really liked that. But yeah, I feel like she's been like thinking carefully about the game. She had that like snipe really early on about Danielle coming out of the secret room, and then she kind of dropped that really quickly. But just that kind of right, like I wonder if that's going to come back up. That was another thing where it was like, again, this is
no, she dropped it. She got talked out of it.
Yes, but
that was one of Danielle's best moments when she said, "Oh yeah, me and Dylan were in there." Like,
yeah.
Yeah, and then immediately dropped. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of seeds that have been planted about Danielle that could come to fruition. But yeah, Gabby, I feel like she's thinking about the game carefully. I literally have the cast list pulled up because I feel like Dylan Efron. I like him. He's a treat. Let's see. I feel like is Wells? No, he got voted out.
Wells
some of these
is
men,
gone.
some of them all look the same to me, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I feel like I like Tom. He's just weird. I don't know. I loved when Dolores was like, no, I want you to speak because nobody's gonna understand it anyways. Please go ahead. Yeah, it's an interesting cast of characters in there.
Okay, let's take a question from Andrew. And Andrew says, the evidence against Boston Rob continues to mount. Do you think any of the faithfuls who voted for Wes chose to keep Rob around to take him to the final as a known traitor? Maybe some of the faithful with game sense like Brittany or Dylan. Come on. What do we do? They're playing 4D chess?
At final 13?
Yeah, at this point, it's too early to do that. Every individual person can't think, oh, I'm the one that sees that Rob is really a traitor and I'm going to go to the end with him. Like, there's too much heat. I genuinely, I really struggle to see a world where Rob makes it past a couple more roundtables. I think he's so cooked. Even in that conversation right after the roundtable, and he was like, thanks everybody for for going with me. Everyone was like, yeah, so glad we went with you on that one. Like, you could tell they're already done with him.
Yeah. I think if anyone was not voting Wes out strategically, it's the people who are thinking, okay, well, either way, I don't want Wes in the game. I'm going to vote Wes out. Best case scenario, he's a traitor. Worst case scenario, he's a faithful. And then maybe there's enough momentum still to look at Rob because he's got so much spotlight on him. I think if anyone's trying to protect Rob at this point, it's way out there. The last thing I would want is to be seen as Rob's right-hand man, and then Rob gets banished out of my control, is confirmed traitor, and now they're looking at me even though I'm a faithful that was trying to play my own game. So it's a sticky one. I wouldn't recommend it. This early? Absolutely not.
Okay, question from Kelly L. Kelly L says, how do you think Derrick is doing as a player? She wants to ask. Frannie, you have any thoughts on Derrick?
Yeah.
This is your first time seeing Derrick on a reality show. What are your impressions of him?
Yeah, he seems to he's sitting in a similar bucket that Wes was in, and not just because they were working together and they were the Cage Boys, whatever, but he seems to, be looking for a lot of evidence, and he kind of presents that evidence to people in a way that's a little aggressive or quite forward. I haven't perceived that he's been working very hard on building friendships in the castle besides with his big brother people. So it's interesting because he's clocked Boston Rob. I think that he has good reads, but I think a lot of people in the castle are going to respond to emotional connections. Like Chriselle is somebody who, that's her name, right? Chriselle. Yeah. Who, I think she is completely wrong about Rob. I think she genuinely thinks Rob is a faithful, but she just is emotionally tied up in him. She feels like he's maybe a mentor to her, and therefore she will go with him for a long time before she goes back on that. Whereas I don't think that Derrick's been generating that same kind of mentorship or working relationship with people where he's going to get folks to actually listen to him.
Yeah, I think that Derrick and Rob are similar, but I think that Derrick is, Derrick is different than Wes in that he has done a better job of cultivating relationships. But Rob, I think, just has more charisma and more sway, the ability to win people over, unlike Derrick. I'm sure that they all like Derrick. They think he's a nice guy. He's a dad. He's a police officer. I don't think anybody thinks that Derrick is a traitor. They just, I think, would, they'd follow Boston Rob off the cliff. They're not going to do that for Derrick.
Do we think that Derrick is going to be killed here? He really seems to think so in the next episode.
I feel like Rob's MO so far has been, if you've said my name and you're the loudest one saying my name, I'm going to kill you, even though that will put the target on me. So it almost felt like foreshadowing that Derrick was like, watch. I'm going to get murdered. And then he's going to be like, they're trying to frame me.
I want it to happen exactly like that. That's what would make the best TV.
See, I kind of feel like it won't happen because we saw that. The fact that we saw him, and I got screwed up last week because that we saw Derrick say, hey, if Rob is smart, he'll kill me tonight. And I'm like, oh, well, Rob is smart. He's definitely going to do that. And then he didn't do that. But then to see Derrick call his shot that they're going to kill him and they're going to frame him, I don't know. I kind of feel like that maybe they wouldn't show that if that is what's going to happen.
Yeah. It's so, okay. So here's my thing with Derrick. I feel like we watched a very rare episode, given that he's only played one other show, one other season. I kind of enjoyed watching him work and then see him not get his way, because I found a lot of holes in what he was trying to do. I think that Derrick wanted Rob out really bad, but also didn't want to seem like the figurehead spearheading that movement, which that's fine if you're content with Rob not leaving, but he clearly wasn't. So once you're like, okay, no, it has to be Rob tonight, nothing else, it's time to move properly. We saw him, deny to Brittany that he was looking to spearhead anything, despite Brittany could have been a good vote for him to go in that direction. We saw him with Ivar being all sheepish and like, you said a thing once upon a time and I like that thing, so maybe you and I can vote that thing. And Ivar's like, what thing? I say many things. So
what are you talking about?
Yeah, like be firm at that point. And I'm someone who says, if you're a faithful, avoid being firm, because I think you don't want to be on the radar. But if you really want Rob out, you can't sheepishly get out of Boston Rob here, because while you're being sheepish, he's making the connections. He's being charismatic. He's charming the pants off of people. And you're like, facts matter, emotions don't. Like when he was at the round table and he was essentially like, please, let's be smart here. Let's make objective decisions, not emotional ones. I was like, who do you think? What do you know where you are? You're fake murdering each other and then crying about it. Like no one's people aren't checking emotion at the door. No way.
Look around, Derrick.
Yeah. Like the facts speak this. Yeah. To you, to the rest of us, we got feelings. She said my name today. I don't like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How about this question from Andy, not baby Andy, who says, I would never go so far as to say that Tom Sandoval is intentionally playing a great game, but nevertheless, is there an argument to be made that he's accidentally playing a great game? The faithfuls think he's too dumb to be a traitor. The traitors clearly see him as being too clueless to be a threat. His incompetency seemingly has him protected on both sides. I'd compare him to Bowie Jane, but I don't want to insult Bowie Jane like that. How far does he go? Could he fail upwards into a win? And could weaponize incompetency being a viable strategy in later seasons? Well, Frannie, don't we see this all the time in Survivor and Big Brother, where that people want to bring a goat to the end of the game?
Yeah, it's true. And, the structure of Big Brother and Survivor, it doesn't quite work. But the end game of Traitors, it could actually work for him in terms of getting a win, getting some money. I feel like we could absolutely see Tom in the end. I think the roundtable was so telling, where Dolores wanted to take a minute to go against him and he wanted to present his evidence against her. And everyone was like, yeah, we've got more important
wrap
things
it up.
Yeah, wrap it up. Yeah, I think he's never going to be taken seriously by either team. And I think that's exactly what you want. I think that's also in a way what Carolyn is maybe trying to do as a traitor. Seems like it's working out well for her. But yeah, I think we could see him in the very end. And there's so many things in this castle. I don't understand why they aren't talked about. Nobody talked about his sweaty pits. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Insane. That would have been a major clue for me, I think, if I was there.
Because Pooya, isn't it notoriously very cold in the castle?
Yeah. It's never going to be that hot in there that you're sweating like that at breakfast. Rob, this isn't like
hot.
We're talking breakfast. They've done no mission yet. They've done no running. I doubt he went for a jog. That made no sense. Frannie, did you see the way he was eating this last episode? Did you catch that? What was that about?
Hunched over the table like a feral animal, gulping his food and darting his eyes. It was madness. It's
like
so
he was
fun
at the
to watch.
sanctuary.
Yeah. It's like he's been starving for weeks. Yeah.
Okay. So accidentally playing a good game to be taken to the end, I'll give you accidentally for sure. The problem is Because he is someone who I think if he gets far enough, people might be like, all right, well, we know it's not him. But you know what they will do, y'all? If he gets to the final 4 and they vote someone out, like, all right, now there's 3. They're like, you know what? Screw this guy. He's been annoying the whole time. He might still be a traitor. We don't know. I know you're not, and you know I'm not. Let's boot him and split the money 2 ways. Like, I think that the comment Dolores made about him being a bad faithful, and you know, quoting Bob Harper to bring that back, I feel like that is telling to what's going on with him. I think he's just going to be a casualty of being so annoying and jarring that they're like, you know what? We have no leads. Let's just take him out. Let's take him out here while we can. That, and also, if at any point the traitors want to do something to confuse the castle, you murder a Tom Sandoval, because everyone's like, why would they do that? That makes no sense. That throws everything I've had out of the window. I think he's going to be a casualty to his own stupidity, but we'll see.
Okay. Spencer has a question. Who would get recruited if Danielle goes next or if Rob went next? Okay. So, Frannie, can you get inside of Carolyn's head and tell us who you think Carolyn would most like to recruit?
Well, I was really curious if Rob goes home. I wonder if there's a discussion in the turret about recruiting Brittany, because I think, and now, you know, as a viewer, that feels like a worse option because we have Derrick supposedly looking at her as a potential traitor. But I think that she's been flying very under the radar. She knows the both of them well, Danielle and Carolyn, and seems to be like working with both of them. So I think like she's perhaps the one person that they could agree on to get into the turret. I think if they're trying to recruit and one of them is pushing for somebody besides Brittany, it's going to be, they're just going to argue about it. So if Rob goes home, I kind of see that being the pick. If Danielle goes home, I think that's a very different story. I don't know. I wonder if a good pick could be somebody who is just like so ostensibly a faithful, like Dylan, Ivar. I don't know. Like, I think Rob wouldn't want to bring in somebody too strategic because he wants to be making the decisions, right?
Pooya, have they ever had a situation where 2 traitors can't agree on the person for the recruitment?
So I've been getting this question a lot about whether that or they can't agree on murders. The reality is, if they are disagreeing, however long it'll take, they don't tell us, and we only see them reach an agreement. We've never seen a complete standstill and no movement from either party. So someone will budge probably.
Hey, this season has had a lot of things that we have never seen before.
Yeah,
this could be the one.
This turret, the next week's turret, I think could be the one.
Yeah,
this could be
in the event Rob goes and the 2 of them have to come to an agreement of who they would like to recruit, I think Frannie nailed it. I think we're looking at a Brittany or a Dylan. I think either could play the peppermint role and bring these 2 together and kind of unite them at least a little bit. I think the question then becomes, who do they feel better about bringing, and are their motivations, we want to get rid of them or we want them to be the most suspect? Because let's be real, these 2 are not working together moving forward. So I think they're going to be like, let's bring someone in that I can work with because I'm not working with you. And they'll pick someone that both agree on.
I want to bring in some clips and stuff we have from social media around the traitors, but I will tell you that I was watching the Royal Rumble this weekend. Pooya, did you hear about this?
I watched it as well. Yes.
Yes. I believe entrant number 30 in the Women's Royal Rumble was none other than the recently banished Nikki Bella returned.
To a big pop. Not
Big
bigger.
pop.
I'm sorry, what's the Royal Rumble?
You don't know what the Royal Rumble is? You've never heard of the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I'm not, but I'm asking. I think I do.
Well, I would love to. What do you think the Royal Rumble is?
I'm picturing like a big battle arena of British royals, but that doesn't fit with Nikki.
Oh, interesting. The Royal Rumble is one of the major wrestling events of the year, and the Royal Rumble starts with just 2 people in the ring, and then randomly other wrestlers come out until 30 total participants have joined the Royal Rumble, and they get eliminated one by one. They're not all in the ring at the same time, but they get eliminated one by one by getting thrown over the top rope.
Is this I'm so not I know nothing about wrestling. Is this one of those wrestling things where it's like staged, or is this one of the ones where it's like real? Because I'm aware that some wrestling is very much for show and some is
I think
real.
this is fake.
Okay.
They don't come out and say
Not
it.
to like put Royal Rumble on blast
Yes.
like that, but I was just curious.
Yes.
Okay.
John Hennigan, the mayor of Slamtown, has been in the Royal Rumble.
Whoa. Yeah. Well, now I got to watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pooya, as I was watching the Royal Rumble this weekend, I said to my family, you know what? Put the Miz on the Traitors.
He would be a great addition to the Traitors, easily.
Mm-hmm.
Easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy already knows what reality TV is about.
He'd be great at it. Okay. All right. So I've got some clips from social media. Okay. So, of course, our great friend of the podcast, Maximus Mom, Miriam, pulled this clip, which I think must have been from Sari, posted a reel on the Instagram. Okay. The Instagram.
Wow, Rob.
Okay. So here is Sari. And here's what she had to say.
You've not shared it with us yet.
Oh, hold on.
I need to see it. I haven't been watching reels. I missed it.
Okay. All right. Here is what Sari was saying on Instagram.
Oh my God. Alan, before the next Traitors, I'm available to put a class on Traitor 101, the do's and don'ts of being a traitor. Because for God's sakes, oh my God.
Okay, Sari is offering to do a training, a tutorial.
Book it. Every person who has stepped into that turret after her could have used pointers. Every single person.
Yeah.
You could bring in as a co-teacher Big Brother's Claire from the RHAP Traitors.
Yes. Oh, she could do a great job. She would be great. Yeah.
They could trade off lessons.
Yeah. Frannie, do they still, before you play Survivor, like give you like a little bit of like a here's what's edible to eat? Like, do they give you any sort of like heads up of like a survival guide?
They do a printed survival guide. I've got it in my little survival
printed
box.
one. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When it was a very long time ago, but there was like a guy that would like took us into the woods and like showed us like what we could do and not do. I think that's what they need with Sari.
Yeah. Yeah, she just needs to be up there the first round in the turret, passively listening, just saying that's a horrible idea.
I mean, Pooya, it's not unlike Island of the Idols.
Yes. Yeah. Put a giant statue of Sari on top of the castle, and then let everyone figure out what that means. Yeah. No, I gotta say I'm not an expert here. I didn't actually see Sari's season of The Traitors. I've heard that she was masterful, but I don't know what her. I can imagine how good she was, but I need to take the class. Clearly, I don't know what her secrets are.
Okay.
I feel like of all of the gamer reality TV people that have entered the castle, she played the perfect level of involved, but not loud, but subtle, making all the connections. And it was an absolute treat. Was her cast potentially weaker a little bit? Maybe, but I feel like you put Sari in any castle and she's the biggest threat to win the whole thing. So
yeah, it's her whole MO.
It. Yeah.
Now, Frannie, last season, there was a big feud between Johnny Bananas and Dan Giesling. And just because the Traitors season 2 ended doesn't mean that the feud has cooled down. Okay?
Okay, I'm listening. Go ahead. What's happening with the feud?
So here comes Johnny Bananas, who was really on one this weekend. Okay, all right. Johnny Bananas had this to say when he shared this. It's a picture of Dan Giesling's head on maybe like a baby's body holding an Uno card, and he says, "On Traitors, I got murdered first, not for strategy, not for gameplay, but out of pure jealousy." Dan Giesling out here acting like he's playing chess with a strategy more like Uno, throwing down wild cards and hoping for the best.
He posted that this past weekend?
But yes.
Oh my God.
This was posted on February 3rd.
Wow, poor Bananas. Really
that's posted today.
Oh my God. Today. Golly. Wow. We got to get Bananas on another season of something. He needs a little.
He does a lot of shows usually, but I don't know. This one really burned him up.
Yeah. Wow. That's a shame. I think it must have been hard to be murdered first and then watch, Dan's big moment absolutely flop and realize that, he's the reason that you were out of the game.
Right.
How that sucks.
It's like one of those things where you get eliminated by somebody, you're hoping that they were so good that you're like, you know what? I got beat by the best. And then when the Dan thing happens, like, really? This person? Yeah. He's been like tweeting up a storm about how Challenge is the superior show.
Yeah, well, here, that's what I got next for you. Okay. All right. So then here was Johnny Bananas, who then created a lot of controversy with this take. Okay. Johnny Bananas had this to say: let's call a spade a spade. Survivor and Big Brother are board games manipulating from the shadows. The Challenge 40 is a battlefield, making moves, owning them, and proving you belong. They can't last once the shadows disappear.
That's ridiculous. That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
It's a board game. And I don't really know why he needed to then share a photo of all of the different things.
Yeah, in case you're not sure.
You didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Can
Frannie,
I say something?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, please.
This man's won hella money, been on TV for years. This is cringe. This is cringe behavior to be like, oh, my show is better than your show, but your show is nerdy and your show is for losers and we have to prove ourselves. You've won like 18 games. Who you prove what, man? Just go get your money, leave. Like, I'm so done with this like fandom war of my show's better than your show. Watch whatever you want. Enjoy the shows. Everyone can appreciate the shows for the different things that they offer. None of these shows are identical to each other. None of these shows have the exact same rule set, and none of them you need the exact same tools to do well in. So you went home first in a show that wasn't the challenge, man. Like, just take the L and move on. To a guy that supposedly is garbage and doesn't know how to play the game and is stupid. He bested you. Just take the L, man. God.
Go on, King!
Yeah.
This is coming from a person who's been on no TV shows and has proven nothing. I'm called the Traitors expert sitting here in this chair. Jealous?
Yes. I mean, hey, Bananas only lasted one more episode than you, Pooya.
Yeah. Like, he has 40 minutes of runtime over me on the Traitors. Like, ooh,
you're close.
Listen, that was me stomaching like years of annoyance with people being like, this is better than your precious show and blah, blah, blah. And just let people watch what they want to watch, man. All right. Please.
Matthew in the chat says Bananas is going to challenge Pooya to a hall brawl.
Yes, because that's when he can prove that he is the superior specimen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just trying to manipulate from the shadows.
Yeah. Play a game of Monopoly with me.
Shadows are fun. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Okay, Frannie, how do you react to being told that you played a board game?
Yeah,
For the record, Survivor is a card game, my guy. Check it out. Amazon.com, Target, wherever fine games are sold.
Yeah, I actually played the Survivor board game.
Yeah, how was it? The card game?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I played it with Derrick and Claire from Big Brother.
Oh.
Matt, Helen, and Connor. Is great. We loved it. You know what we did? This is not Traitors related, so I'll be very quick. But we found that it was made better by adding in a shot in the dark.
Oh, wow.
We gave everyone
Frannie,
a dice.
Do you
and they
vote
had the
people
option
out in the Survivor card game?
Yes, you do.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just worried. I have it and I haven't taken it out of the box because I don't know if I want to bring that evil into my family.
Yeah, it was a slow start. We weren't sure. Some of the card and the, mechanics, we were like, is this going to be fun? It became so much more Survivor-like than I expected it to be. We split off into different corners of the room. We were whispering. We were,
Oh, wow. You were moving around. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it was great.
Pretty wild.
So you know what? If Survivor is a board game, then it's my favorite board game in the whole world.
Best board game of all time. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Pooya, what else is on your mind heading into this next episode of The Traitors?
Man, listen, so the preview they gave us, that was the murder in plain sight.
Murder in plain sight.
Yeah.
still think that's at the end of next week's episode and not this for upcoming first murder. I just don't see them doing that with the shields. We still don't know who they're going to murder because all three groups got shields. Are they going to decide to murder from within their group or go with the group they don't know? There's a lot of questions in the air. I guess I want to ask both of you one question for a prediction here. Do you think a traitor is getting banished this next episode? Not specifically which traitor, just do you think a traitor is going here?
So this is very like Traitors edgic response that I'll say is that I feel like that Traitors does not have a ton of chill with their previews.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of feel like that if we were getting like a heated roundtable of like Boston Rob on the ropes, I think that we would get a little bit of that. This would be a big departure for the Traitors to not even give us a sniff of that, and it was coming.
That's a great point. I noticed, not a single clip of the actual contestants in the next time on. It was just clips.
And good for them if they do it this way.
Yeah. It was just the weird coffin situation. I'm up in the air, but I think if I had to choose, I would say that yes, a traitor is banished next week. Because I think that, they released so much pressure and so much excitement with Bob the Drag Queen, but it's been building and building and building. And I think all the traitors recognize that they have some degree of attention on them that they don't want. So I think that attention that the faithfuls have on them, plus their own desire to go back under the radar, will both contribute to traitors getting thrown out and a traitor getting banished. And I think that the traitors themselves are going to hop on it. Whichever one of the three it is, I think the others are going to hop on it. Genuinely, I don't think there's any, whichever one of them. I hope it happens. I want to see them all. They get so excited when they banish one. It's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're in uncharted waters. We don't know what's going to happen next.
So what do we think that this murder in plain sight thing is? Because I know last time it was the poisoning, but they kept showing this. They kept talking about walking down the aisle. I didn't understand. I felt like I had no idea what they were implying.
Yeah, if you do it face to face, they said.
Yeah, they've done like different iterations of this on other franchises so we might not know the exact way the format's going to go, but I'll give you an example and I won't name the season. We had a season where the traitors had picked 4 people to shortlist. Those 4 people had to play this like card game of pick the right card.
Survivor, the card game?
If you're holding the survive card, you're in. If you're not, you're murdered. And then they got down to the last person that didn't get the survive card. And then the traitors came out from back and faced them and said, you're murdered. So there was this very tense moment where the faithful who's about to leave got to meet the 3 traitors on their way out and got to have a conversation. So that is what I think we're getting. I just don't know how we're going to get to that moment where they make eye contact. Or it is like the poisoning where they have to like tap on the shoulder or be like, you have to say a phrase. And then if you say that phrase, that person's dead. But I feel like based on the way it sounded, they're going to face-to-face meet, which will be exciting.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Frannie, anything else on your mind as far as the traitors go?
I'm just loving it. I hope that all these messy traitors stay in the turret for as long as possible.
I know,
because they're making it so fun.
I don't want it to end. I want it to keep going with this group for as long as possible. So let's keep it going. I know that they are not enjoying each other's company, but we are. Okay, make it work for us, or make it not work, but don't kill each other. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Please.
Let me tell you a little bit about what else we have going on here on RHAP. It's been such a huge couple of weeks here. We've had so many shows. We're just throwing everything at you all. I hope that you're able to keep up with some of it at least. Over the weekend, this was a bucket list interview for me. Frannie, do you know who this man is?
In the loosest of ways, he's from Big Brother legend, and he's on this Dondi situation.
Dr. Will.
Yes.
Once upon a time, I watched this man on Big Brother 2, and I said, you know what? I want to be on reality shows when I grow up. And then the rest is history. And look at us now. And finally, after some 22 years after watching him, maybe even longer, I finally got the chance to interview my boyhood hero, Dr. Will. And I have a 4-hour interview with Dr. Will that's up. You can check it all out. WeKnowDondi.com. You can watch it on YouTube as well. It is a wild road that is not that much about Deal or No Deal Island or Big Brother.
Were you excited, Rob, to meet your childhood hero?
I was very excited to get the chance to talk to him. I've met him a couple of times over the years, but I had not ever done an interview with Will.
Wow. I've heard he's wild. I've heard he's just like unlike anyone else.
That's right.
Potentially insane. Yeah.
Unlike any other interview I've ever done. So check that out. What a tease. All right. Of course, you can catch up on Dondi. Frannie, come on. Will you watch Dondi?
I'm in the Survivor off season, I guess. I got time.
Okay, check it out. Dondi, we got a new episode coming up on Tuesday night right here. WeKnowDondi.com. Of course, we've been talking about all of the Survivor 48 players. Frannie, have you checked these people out?
Oh my God, I'm excited. I feel like, there are so many that I am so excited to see play. I cannot wait for the premiere.
Yeah, we've been dropping. Mike Bloom went to Fiji and got the chance to talk to so many of these people. We've been dropping 2 a day every weekday. And then tomorrow, Mike Bloom and I got together and we're going to talk about a cast or a tribe preview of the Lagi tribe. We're going to talk about the first 6 players that you've seen their interviews, and we'll give you a sense of how we think the tribe is all going to come together. Pooya and Liana got back together for another episode of the Pooya and Liana Lounge. Frannie, are you a fan of Pal?
Pal. Oh, I didn't know that was the little nickname for it. Well, I'm one of the biggest fans of Pooya and Liana, so I surely, therefore, must become a fan of Pal.
Yes. Pooya, what's going on Pal episode 4?
Rob, what's happening is I didn't realize I was wearing a Chiefs jersey till after the episode dropped, and the comments have been taking me out.
Why, they don't like the Chiefs?
I've said I don't, and then I was wearing this jersey. I thought it was a Washington jersey. Anyway, it was a lot of fun.
Hey,
Liana
Pooya's
decided
colorblind, people. Okay,
you are. You actually thought it was a different jersey? Oh no,
there was no logo on it. So, and I'm not very familiar with conferences and stuff. And my sister gifted me this anyway. It was a whole thing. Liana decided it would be good if we listen and we don't judge on the pod. So that was fun. Check it out. We've been having a good time over on Pal.
Okay, check it out. PooyaandLiana.com. Okay. And then over on the social game, now, Frannie, we've got Michelle and Kelly Nalbandian. They sat down with Parvati Shallow this past week, and they've got a great episode coming up this week as well. You can hear it at thesocialgamepod.com. And then finally, got the chance to talk about a little show on Hulu called Paradise. Chappelle and I were hanging with Hulu, and we talked about the premiere of Paradise. There's 3 episodes that are out so far. I think it's a great new show. You can hear that on our Nothing But Netflix. Frannie, what's going on with you? What can people keep up with?
Oh, well, I'm on Blue Sky, and all I've put on there is retweeted the tweet about the Blue Sky about this.
Yes.
So, not much to keep up with. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to have a restful start.
The Instagram?
The Instagram. Yes, I'm out there. I made it. Big leagues. Hopefully I'll hit up some watch parties for season 48. Maybe I'll have something to say in the world about that season of Survivor. I'm just here enjoying. I like being a fan.
Yeah. Well, Frannie, we love that you come by and wanted to talk about the Traitors, and it was so fun to get your takes on everything.
Yes, thank you. I feel like, I have imposter syndrome. I'm not a Traitors expert by any means, but love watching Carolyn. And it's fun to have another show during the Survivor off season. I usually go into hibernation, but I'm out and about, which is new for me. It's very fun.
No imposter syndrome.
Okay.
You're a real honest to goodness Traitors expert. You're a blood on the clock tower expert.
Yes. Thank you. I'll tell everyone. I'll put it on my resume. Now I know.
All right. Then Pooya, what else is coming up for you?
I will be still talking 90 Day Fiance. Finally, the season will be over after this week, so check out that episode. Also, just find me on socials at Pooyaism. Find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Pooya. That's where I am when I'm not podcasting, and we have a good time there as well. So check me out.
Thank you all so much for joining us for our Traitors Feedback Show. We'll be back with our episode recap coming up on Thursday night. Until then, take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.